fellow Hooties, and welcome to Hootsgiving, that time of year where the weather gets crispy, fall settles in, and us fellow Hooties eat turkey and them Thanksgiving sides until we're all sitting in our Hootie hover chairs going, oh, while watching them classic Thanksgiving specials. And as I stated in my post, I'll be discussing the remaining Thanksgiving episodes of King of the Hill, Season 3, Episode 7, 9 Pretty Darn Angry Men, Season 4, Episode 7, Happy Thanksgiving, and Season 5, Episode 4, Spin the Choice. I already talked about the final Thanksgiving episode, Goodbye Normal Jeans, and how it was one of the worst Peggy episodes, but for tonight's review, I'm starting with 9 Pretty Darn Angry Men, where Cotton crashes Hank's Thanksgiving when it was his mom's turn to have Thanksgiving with him and the fam, and even crashes the Mason focus group where Hank must not only convince the others that the new lawnmower isn't good, but to also stand up for his mom against his dad and his constant degradation of her. It's one crazy Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and I can't wait to get started talking about it with you Hooties. And it's been a while since I made a King of the Hill review, so with that being said, it's time to hop on our Mason mowers as we get to King of the Hill Season 3, Episode 7, 9 Pretty Darn Angry Men. Or 8.5, since Cotton is like 5 foot even. We begin with the boys in the alley talking about the majesty that is Mason mowers, as Dale declares that Hank is going to do great at the focus group while Bill complains that he wasn't invited. Now we're gonna find out later why Hank really decided to lie to Bill and say that he didn't invite him, making the excuse that Bill was spending Thanksgiving at his house, which we also know that also extends to Bill having dinner with them during the holidays, just 2 episodes later in Pretty Dresses, another episode I talked about for last year's Hootmas, and is an episode with the word pretty in it. Coincidence? I think not! Hank's mom Tilly lets him know that Celine Dion is off the field as he talks about how it's good that it's her turn to spend Thanksgiving with them instead of his dad when Cotton crashes the night.
You came last Thanksgiving. This year it's Mom's turn, remember?
Well, I don't want to cause any fuss. Your mother can eat in the yard.
And that should let you know how the night is going to go, as Hank tells Peggy to make sure that the focus group is not mentioned in front of Cotton, as Peggy is concerned about the Thanksgiving dinner that's not going to be ruined with the sudden appearance of the Fitty Manslayer himself, Cotton Hill, while she makes a questionable assumption about the first Thanksgiving before telling him about their plans for Black Friday shopping. Peggy acts like she knows something everyone else doesn't about Black Friday. Oh really, Pegleg? The Friday after Thanksgiving is considered the biggest shopping day? I wonder why! And we have to be there early? How did you get such information? Shah! I wouldn't put past Peggy to be the one of those parents that would trample over a few kids and senior citizens to get whatever was on their shopping list. But we'll see how well her shopping goes when we get there. For now, it's Thanksgiving dinner time! As Hank says grace and says he's grateful for Cotton for ignoring their schedule so they can be together, as Cotton starts in from the second he starts eating.
Tilly, did you make this stuffing? Does it taste like garbage?
Oh, I can't imagine why Hank had to have a schedule for which parent has Thanksgiving with him. Cotton is so respectful to Tilly. I mean, he tells the best stories for when they were married.
I ever tell you about the time she tried to poison me with a baked chicken?
It was chicken almondine.
It was cyanide, woman.
For those who don't know about cyanide, bitter almonds contain the most amounts of amygdalin, which can release significant amounts of cyanide when ingested in large quantities. which I seriously doubt that Tilly would be able to put that amount of bitter almonds. Not that she even used bitter almonds to begin with to even poison Cotton. But I'm not an expert on that matter, so that's just what a simple Google search provided. But if you think that was bad enough, Hank tried his best, which was hardly anything at all, to get Cotton to show Tilly respect in front of Bobby, which he tries to make him leave so he could keep the insults going. And they do indeed keep coming.
Course, bad as Tilly was in the kitchen, she was even worse in the bedroom. I said the woman was lousy in the sack.
Man, Cotton, you're gonna throw that one on the table? And on Thanksgiving din-din? I mean, I would have tuned it all out and just ate until I was full, then politely excused myself to the living room and watched the parade or the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special before having to sleep early because of Black Friday. But I'm not there. Besides, Hootsgiving dinner at the Owlery is better anyways. Everyone else turns to Hank, and he just hides his face in shame like he can't just tell Cotton to stuff it like the turkey. Well, aren't you a model son, letting your dad say those things about your mom? And yes, I know the kind of person she turned out to be, and the even in the miniatures episode, which again I already talked about, so I don't need to elaborate on. Hank should stick up for his mom, even if it's his dad, especially if it's Cotton. But Hank just lets it happen. And when she thanks Peggy for dinner and tells her goodnight, she gives Hank a cold goodnight.
Good night, son.
Well, Mom seemed to enjoy herself tonight.
Hank, you didn't do anything while Cotton was throwing verbal napalm at your poor, well, in this episode she was, Mom. Peggy doesn't let him get away with his pitiful display either. Another instance where I agree with Peggy.
You defended Troy Aikman more than you defended your mother.
Mom knows how it is with Dad. And there were 6 dropped passes. All Troy can do is get it there.
Oh, sure, Hank. Defend Troy for 6 missed passes when you missed every pass to defend your mom against the offensive comments made by Cotton. Or whatever. I'm not a sportsy hoot. Also, take note that Peggy made a fuss about them getting to bed early, yet she spent all night clipping coupons. We'll see if that affects her Black Friday shopping. Early the next morning, Peggy leaves the fan by her headlight to the car, and Cotton is already at it.
Boo! I forgot how much old ladies stink.
Okay, as funny as that was, why didn't you say anything, Hank? Also, how was everyone gonna fit? Where was Dee Dee gonna sit? On someone's lap? It's a good thing Peggy and Tilly moved. Who knows how awkward that car ride would have been. Tilly and Peggy aren't the only ones that get Cotton's treatment.
Good God, you've got a fat neck, Hank.
Say what you will about Cotton, he is funny, and one of the funniest characters in the show despite how mean and, well, he's Cotton. I have to agree with Shady Durags in that he's one of my favorite characters, and it sucks that he's no longer with us to see how he would react to the many changes in Season 14. Well, I mean, outside of a brief cameo from the past. Then again, if you believe that he faked his death like I do, he may return in Season 15. Nah. But what if? Nah. At the 6 malls over Texas, Hank tries to ditch Cotton so he doesn't know about the focus group meeting, while Peggy runs into a problem with her ladies' loafer.
Ladies' loafer? That's a men's loafer.
It is a uni loafer.
This is gonna take a while.
Well, Peggy, what'd you expect? I mean, I'm not insulting you or your size 14 feet. That's just the way you were born. Just sit back and you'll be shopping in no time. Or will you? Hank and the boys walk to the focus group in an Avengers-style line, locked in, when they see the big bad Laotian himself.
Here come leftover turkeys. Ha 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 ha.
You're here?
I am everywhere you want to be, Hank Hill.
That's right, Con. Everywhere Hank wants to be. Everywhere except for Nine Rivers Country Club, where Hank got closer to getting in than you ever did. Oh, and don't worry, my fellow Hooties. Con isn't the only thing that's going to make this focus group interesting. While the moderator does his introduction speech, the boys murmur amongst each other.
We may or may not have run into your dad in the men's room, and we may or may not have told him that we were being paid $50 to participate in a focus group.
Oh darn, you weren't fast enough. Now you gotta let him in. I mean, aw man. Give Hank credit. He tries to get Cotton to go in the other direction, but he lets himself in anyways and takes a seat at the head of the table. It's here we get an introduction to some of the characters that will reappear in future episodes from time to time. We also get some information on what Cotton's job is, but he doesn't give us any more info outside of his system analyst. He does explain later that he worked for Wagner Grills in an episode, Just Another Manic Con Day, but that's not until the last episode of season 13. Poor Hank can't even introduce himself without Cotton speaking for him.
My name's Hank Hill, and
He runs a gas station. Next, I'm Cotton Hill. I killed 50 men.
You know, I wonder if Cotton really did kill 50 men, or if he embellished that number. I mean, he did talk about being in Munich, Germany, when it would have been impossible to have fought in Okinawa and in Munich in that same span of time. So who knows how many people did Cotton really kill, and how many fatties were in his platoon, or squad, or whatever. I'm ranting. If things couldn't get any worse, the moderator introduces the new Mason 2500 lawnmower, and Hank is not happy that his trusty 1500 wasn't chosen.
That's not my mower.
Not sure why Hank is upset. I figure that's the point of the focus group, was to get feedback on the newest mower to see if people would buy it, not talk about Hank's favorite mower. But since we're at a commercial break, I've got a little ad you might like. Not a real product for sale, by the way. You go in the kitchen after a good night's sleep, and you go for a cup of the good stuff. The greatest way to start the day is Hoots Brew in your cup. Hoots Brew is not a real coffee, and this ad is for entertainment purposes only. Hoots Brew. Drink coffee like an owl. Back to the focus group. Hank reads all the details about the mower, thinking the others will hate it too, but only makes them want it more. Con only likes it because he thinks Hank wouldn't be able to afford it. Con, even if Hank could afford it, which he could, he already has a mower. Unfortunately, Hank is unable to state that when...
Oh, he's a pump jockey. Works for tips.
Dad, I do not work for tips.
Pump jockey.
Dad, I am not a pump
Works
jockey.
for tips.
I can't hate Cotton when he's this funny. Taking Hank's title of assistant management for Strickland Propane and reducing it to pump jockey. Works for tips. Now, Cotton does become jealous of Strickland later on when Buck promotes Hank in the Christmas episode, season 6, episode 4, the father, the son, and the JC. But he's saying this here to get to Hank. Cotton compares the new mower to a beautiful young woman. Now his words, not mine. And Hank's mower is to a dumpy fishwife. I don't need to ask what woman Cotton is referring to when he means dumpy fishwife, but let's take a breather from the A-plot and walk around the mall and see what the others are up to. Luann and Bobby are at the ice rink, and Luann is nervous about moving on from Buckley, and Bobby gives her some encouragement.
Buckley's not getting any deader, Luann. It's time to move on.
Yeah.
Now, ain't that sweet of Bobby to help his cousin move on and find someone new? Now, of course, she wouldn't find that one special person unlucky until much later, but it's sweet to see them get along like siblings and...
Let's go! Are you alright?
They're playing Buckley and my song.
Hey,
Well, that wasn't really nice, Bobby. Let the poor girl ease into it, literally and metaphorically. You don't want her rushing into the rink. She'll get hurt, and you don't want her rushing into another relationship without properly moving on from Buckley. She'll also get hurt emotionally, which unfortunately is what happens later on. But again, she does find the right one later on. With that being said, rest in peace, Brittany Murphy and Tom Petty. You made two of the greatest characters in animation history. Now then, back to the review. It seems Peggy fell asleep while waiting for her uni loafer to be fixed, and he just lets her sleep. He saw her and was like, yeah, she probably needs to sleep. And she was the one that was so adamant on sleeping early, but she couldn't help but snip them coupons. I'm sure she'll be awake in time to shop. Blaine Pratley talks about all the options and add-ons to the mower, and Bill calls him out for making him pay extra per pinstripes on his escort.
I financed you pinstripes for your escort.
Bill knew what Lane was about with that wink. Typical scummy car salesman. Mr. Moderator tries to butter up everyone into agreeing that the new mower is what people want, but Hank is the only one that sees past the bells and whistles and zero-gravity turning to know it's garbage, but it's 7 against 1. Well, 6.5. I noticed that the title says 9 pretty darn angry men. They're including the moderator, but I'm sure it's paying homage to something. Either way, Hank has his work ahead of him if he wants to convince everyone in that room that the Mason 2500 is not the mower of the future, but also deal with Cotton. Well, speaking of Cotton, you know he couldn't go 10 seconds without making it about trashing Hank's mom.
Then when I say I don't like something, for example, your mother, you've got to say how much you like her even more.
Please keep my mother out of this.
Hank, you gotta grow some propane tanks and tell your dad off for mocking your mom. She's your mom. Show some backbone and tell Cotton off. But it seems that Cotton isn't the only problem Hank has to deal with. Dale and Boomhauer like the bells and doodads and the so-called mower of the future has. Now, he could have had the support of Bill had he just let him speak or let him have his own opinions. But at this point, Hank only wants his mower to be better, so he speaks for Bill, which probably was the reason why Bill chose for the mower that everyone else wanted.
Today, William Fontaine de la Tour d'Autrive speaks for himself, and what I have to say will rock your world. I like the cup holder.
I'll just say this here. I don't like how they resolved the issue with Bill, but we'll get there when we get there. My issue right now is Hank. Yes, Cotton is the main antagonist, and I'll agree with Christian in my post about this episode. Cotton is not enjoyable at all in this episode. Not saying that he was ever a nice man, for the most part. I mean, he is nice to Bobby, but at least he was funny and entertaining. Here, he's just mean, and not in a funny way. Speaking of Cotton, what is your favorite episode with Cotton in them? This is also one of the episodes where Bill was in fact in the right for standing up for himself and telling Hank to let him make his own decisions. That being said, I think Bill only likes the new mower is because everyone else does, and he wants to agree with them and not Hank. Even if his own opinion was to agree with Hank, the fact that you didn't let Bill speak for himself and decided to speak for him, Bill chose to go the other way with his decision to think for himself, but by doing so agree with other people and not his own opinion. Cotton makes it about Tilly once again, but Hank turns that into a combo of him defending his old mower and his mom. However, the others seem to disagree. This isn't the only time Hank has been put into a situation where he was put up against multiple people and had to lock in and make his case to prove them all wrong. Sometimes it works. Sometimes the plot still treats him like crap. But this episode is one of those times where Hank really locks in and uses the very things they like about the mower and shows them how faulty they are. Not going to lie, Con makes a pretty good statement here.
When you little redneck boy, you couldn't defend your mother. Now you compensate by defending your mower. You confuse personal issues with technological. I have father issues too, but this is a good mower.
He is right, well, about one thing. Hank is clearly using his mower as a symbolic way to defend his mom, the same way Cotton is using Hank's mower to insult his mom, which fuels Hank's need to defend it more. Now, granted, Hank will always defend his mower and his mom, and does know the difference between them. It's just that this is the best way he can defend his mom against his dad, by defending his mower. Hank puts up his own $50 and his own expenses to prove his point that the mower is not all that it seems. And I like how he addresses not only everyone as a group, but each person individually, showing what a great leader he is. I know it's not an alien concept for Hank, considering he's the leader of his friend group, he's assistant manager of his job, neighborhood watch captain or block captain, self-appointed mind you, but still. Also, he's always shelter leader, except that one time where Bill was mistakenly made shelter leader in Season 8, Episode 15, Auprès Hank du Deluge. Again, I discussed that episode already. And let's not forget, he's captain of the Strickland softball team, the Zephyrs. Hank has proven more times than not that he is a great leader, and if anyone can convince a group of people that an older mower is better than a new model, it's Hank. We get a brief scene with Luann trying to ice skate while Bobby glides like a pro, to Tilly and Dee Dee having a funny conversation about how Tilly would tolerate Cotton's rantings if Hank would just defend her.
Hank doesn't stick up for me either, his own stepmother.
Jackass.
Now, that was a nice little funny scene with them. We get some insight from Tilly's point of view of how she feels about Cotton's rantings and about how Hank does nothing to stop it. But of course, we have to have this convo with two ladies making lemonade in the background. Bouncy, bouncy. Back at the focus group, Hank goes from person to person, demonstrating that the many unnecessary accessories and showing they really won't like them in the long run. Starting with Lane Prattley and talking about if he likes the many accessories and attachments, then he won't mind paying for all that dealer markup, causing him to back out. Then Boomhauer and his seat warmer, and how the seat warmer isn't going to just heat up his rear end.
When you ride your mower, where do you keep your beer?
Man, I'd plant that dang beer right between the legs, man.
In other words, it's also heating up his can of beer.
Yo, man, I don't warm beer like a dang got that dang Euro trash, man. They're drinking that old.
There's two down. Now it's time to deal with the unswayable Dale. I mean, Rusty. Which he gets him with the one thing he knows Dale hates above all things. People monitoring and listening to him. And that makes 3. Or 4, counting Hank. Great work so far, Hank. Now all you gotta do is convince Con, Hubert, Bill, and the final boss, Cotton. And you've convinced them all. But what's your next move? A drunk Con gave him an idea on what to move on to next. The zero turning feature, and how the mower is all about them attachments will cause the mower to spin out of control, not only getting the former minister Hubert to change his mind about the mower, but Bill when the cup holder shatters under the weight of the mower. Let's be honest, that flimsy cup holder would look like it would snap off the second a beer gets put into it. Bill doubts himself, and Hank reminds him that Bill is always right.
Well,
It does.
It does. It does.
Hank knows Bill was just gonna sit there and go, oh, oh, so he simply guided him in the right direction. So now that almost everyone has been convinced, there's only one person that needs to be convinced.
Preacher, if you're still in the baptizing business, I'd like you to drown my boy Hank.
as horrible as Cotton is in this episode, and funny, this was probably one of the funniest moments. But it doesn't outweigh the bad moments in this episode. He's just too mean to be funny for me. But this time, when Cotton goes on his rants about Tilly, she just so happens to walk in the room that's watching them from the two-way mirror, thinking it's a bathroom, and she witnesses a great moment from Hank. At this point, it stopped being about the mower and is about his mom, and we all know it. Hank spins Cotton around and gives him a piece of his mind and tells him off for disrespecting his mom for all these years, and tells him that he ever disrespects Tilly or his mower, he isn't welcome back. You can tell this gave him something to think about. I mean, you can tell that he does have some form of feeling toward Hank, how small it may be. I mean, if he really didn't care about Hank, he would have just walked out and never came to Hank's again. He can put up a higher wall than him, but he can't hide that he does care about Hank. Whether you agree or not, Cotton deep down cares about Hank. He's still Cotton, but still, that's his boy. He'll go on to have GH or Good Hank, and admittedly he'll favor him over Hank or Bad Hank. Just a small rant here. I can't stand that episode. I just watched Shady Durag's video on this, and I agree that that episode has to be the worst in season 14 in my opinion too. Yeah, there are other episodes that aren't really all that great in the latest season, but the knockoff Andrew Tate episode was the worst. Now, Good Hank does improve after the episode, but it's just not a good episode. Hank's mom is waiting for him, proud of her son, as they go shopping. Meanwhile, Peggy is still asleep as the store closes.
Well, I guess Peggy got a ride home with Cotton. Huh, I'll be dipped.
Okay, so why didn't anyone working there wake up Peggy? Like anyone would leave someone in there in a closed mall? But also, why would Hank think Cotton would give Peggy a ride home? I bet he made Dee Dee take a bus home in Dallas while he drove the car back to Hank's before driving back to Dallas in his caddy. Now there's Luann's little side plot that wasn't a side plot at all, just her going to the skate rink, and that's it. She didn't find anyone, and there wasn't really any resolution to it. It seemed like they cut that out to focus on, well, the focus group, which I think it was for the best. With that being said, that was Season 3, Episode 7, 9 Pretty Darn Angry Men. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of the episode and the review in the comments. As always, you fellow Hooties' opinions and feedback mean a lot, and I can't thank you all enough for all of your support. Don't forget to like and share with your fam and cheese. If you're new to the channel, subscribe today and join the Parliament of Hoots. Stay tuned for the next Thanksgiving episode, Season 4, Episode 7. Happy Thanksgiving! And when you visit the Owlery again, and I give my hoot in the dark. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share with your fam, subscribe today and join the Parliament of Hoots. And let me know what you think of this episode in the comments below. Don't forget to check out my other social medias like Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and my PlayStation Network account. Don't forget to check out these 2 videos, it'll take you to more of my content, and I can't wait to see you for another Hootsgiving.